Okay, everybody, it is me, Gregory Mannarino. I'm very calm right now. I hope it lasts. Anyway, so yes, it is Wednesday, September 15, 2021. This is my post-market wrap-up. And of course, we have stuff to talk about this market. We got economic news. It's just fantastic. I love this part. I really do. All right, look, let's start off with the markets. A rally today on Wall Street, despite all the calls for crashes, for big drops, and everything else. How about no? No, I don't get it. There's something else going on. They are really trying to keep people in some kind of fear mode, but not you, because you know where to look. I know for a fact that you, if you follow this blog, are keeping your eyes glued to the 10-year yield. Are you watching that? 1.3 today, absolutely stable. Nothing going on here whatsoever. The dollar weaker. Crude oil higher over 3%. And you know how this works, being that crude is the lifeblood of this freak show market. What else would you expect? Got to get a rally out here. And more bad economic news. Well, of course, that's enough to drive the stock market higher. Before we talk about the bad economic news, you know what? Hold that thought. I've explained to you forever, it seems, that our economy is contracting very, very rapidly as a percentage of GDP. Our debt to GDP ratio is out of control. Now, the bad economic news will continue. It can't stop as our economy continues to contract and shrink. You understand? Has to happen. It's a no-brainer. Okay, we got it. But again, you know, all the news that they're telling you could always be worse. It could actually be worse. That's what they're saying. And they're trying to spin this whole thing. Every piece of bad economic news that we get, they put a spin on it. Because again, you must be lied to. You must be propagandized. You can't know what's going on. Well, we're going to cut through the dog shit, wrapped around in cat shit, sprinkled with bird shit, as we always do in this video blog. So, rally on Wall Street, 10-year yield looking great, weaker dollar, stronger crude oil. I mean, crude's going much higher. That drop that we had, massively bullish in my view. We'll see how that plays out here moving forward. Cryptocurrencies, people, higher across the board, looking very, very good. Gold and silver today under a little bit of pressure, despite the dollar being weaker. Oh, how does that work? It's such a shit show. It really is. But again, these are the spots to be in. What's the game? What's the game right now? It's risk on. Clearly, how do we know that? 10-year yield, dollar, crude oil, Fed's balance sheet, blah, 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 fake news, propaganda, and everything else. Bad economic news. As long as that mechanism or these things stay in place, well, you know, of course the market can move around a little bit. We're in that seasonable time where the market is kind of weak, but look, buy the dips, people. I'm not going to change my perspective on this. As long as these dynamics remain, we will buy every single dip pretty much in every single asset class as the Fed continues to inflate along with other central banks. And they're not done. I've been telling you for years they're going to inflate some more, and then more than that. Yeah, and that's exactly what has been happening. It's out of control. Now let's talk about our economy here. So we got a few pieces of interesting, yes, news. Now, again, I'm laughing. I'm so sorry to be laughing about this, but it's the truth. So we found out that in August, U.S. industrial production fell. Oh, really? Oh, how did... explain that to me, because we're supposed to be doing so well. On top of that, manufacturing also dropped well. As our economy shrinks, you would expect all this to happen as well. Now, incomes fell along with industrial production, and manufacturing. Now, if you adjust for inflation, incomes are plummeting. Plummeting. But again, the market loves it. How do we know that? Look at the stock market today. It went higher. People, we are literally in the middle of and this is just the middle of it. Maybe even not even the middle. We're not even, this is going to get much worse. But we are watching this transition take place from we haven't really had a totally free society in quite a long time, but from a free society based on a free market, which we do not have anything at all. Understand, the Fed has been managing this market since the meltdown. They took it over, and henceforth why things are the way they are. They are not allowing free market forces to run the economy. It's managed. It's a managed economy, just like any other, third world communist nation. That's what we have. It's a managed economy and a managed market. You understand? I think you do. And because of that, these things don't work. Okay, you get an economy that's cratering. Okay, but the wealthy and the well-off could not be doing better. They could not possibly be doing better as the middle class, gets eliminated by design. Okay, the move to this new feudal system that I warned would come from a decade ago. It's pretty much here now, but they're not done. And what that means moving forward is, again, opportunity for you and I to get yourself on the right side of this whole thing, to stay on the right side of this whole thing, and make sure that we don't fall lower. If you happen to be, like I said, well off or rich, you could count on getting more well off and richer. If you are a member of the middle class, you're being sucked completely dry. And this is by design too. And if you're in the lower rung, you're probably not watching this video. You're done already. And unfortunately, the trajectory for this is clearly on target. This is the Fed finishing their endgame, their final solution. You all know that. And it's going to progress as we move forward. So with regard to this market, with regard to cryptocurrencies, with regard to gold and crude oil and pretty much any commodity, how's that? You need to buy the dips. All right, you need to continue to buy the dips across the board. Anyone who's telling you different, if you're listening to some YouTuber or some people who were on YouTube and now got kicked off, whatever, and they're trying to tell you anything different, realize that they're brain dead, okay? And had you been listening to these freaks at the same time you've been listening to me, well, they would have cost you to lose epic sums of cash. Me? I am very proud to say that thousands of people, tens of thousands around the world, have benefited from being a part of this blog. I have worked very hard and diligently to keep every single one of you on the right side of this freak show. Look, we are trading a market and participating in a scheme that goes way beyond the markets. I think we all know that, okay? If you're transacting in dollars or in fiat currency right now, well, you're supporting the beast. There's no other way to do it. They have managed to rig this system in such a way that we must actively participate. How many of you go out there and barter every day? How many of you transact in gold and silver every day? How many of you transact in cryptocurrencies every day exclusively? I would be willing to bet a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a fraction. So the beast system is set up so we must participate in it via the banks, shopping, whatever it is. Okay, this is why, again, there's all this pushback on cryptocurrencies being outside the system. You must be in a central bank issued note. That's what they want. But understanding all this, again, allows us to understand what we should be doing. More than likely transacting outside of their system using cryptocurrencies. Maybe you could find someone to barter with. If you want anything from me, I would gladly take cryptocurrency. I would gladly take gold and silver and platinum or palladium or artwork or musical instruments. I'm all about that. Okay, we don't need to transact in their system. We really don't. But they have 99.9% of the people fooled into thinking that they do. And it's funny because it's these same people who yell at me, "Oh, Greg, you're feeding the system. You got to get out of the market." Meanwhile, they're out there fanning out their dollar bills, swiping their debit cards and credit cards and using Federal Reserve issued notes. Can't make it up. Can't make it up. But that's exactly what's going on. These people don't think that they are feeding the beast directly by working for fiat bills that they don't even own. Do you realize that people work for something that they don't even own? When you work, you put in a 40-hour work week, 50, 60, whatever it might be. You're being paid in a fiat currency like a Federal Reserve note. You don't own them. Those notes are owned by the issuing central bank, in this case the Federal Reserve, and owed back to them with interest that they create out of thin air. It's an IOU. You're being paid with an IOU. That's all it is. And it's not that they owe you. You owe them. You understand? You owe them. You owe that money back to the Fed plus interest they create out of thin air. You want to participate in that system? Good for you. Good for you. I'm trying to find my way out of it. Anyway, with that said, look, we got this covered, you and me, and it's not going to change. Our strategy is straightforward and it's dead on. It's completely perfect as far as I'm concerned. We stay long the market, large cap stocks, dividend paying. Let these companies pay you to own shares of their stock. And there's a lot of large cap companies out there that will pay you a dividend. All right, look it up to own it. With regard to trading this market, it's really not that hard. It's hard if you're buying options, if you're selling options, if you're a net seller like I am. It's like taking candy from a baby. It's really the truth, and I cover this in my book, A Not So Random Walk on Wall Street. You can get that from my website, traderschoice.net. Lovely. Anyway, people, I think you got the picture. You know what's going on. Now, tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this guy right here will be live on the Barrel Buddies. I love being on the Barrel Buddies show. It's a lot of fun. I get to disconnect from this whole stuff. I get to, learn about whiskey and drink a little whiskey. I used to really hate this stuff, but now I'm starting to learn how to appreciate it thanks to the Barrel Buddies. Anyway, I hope to see you there. I will place a link to the Barrel Buddies show, again, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, in the description of this video. I hope to see you there. Let's have some fun. Let's forget about the dog shit market until tomorrow morning, and I'll see you then.